So last night, amongst the eternal dross that is my newsfeed that I receive.
I have to pause you. The eternal what?
Terribleness.
Dross?
Yes. Isn't that a thing?
I don't know. How do you spell the word?
I just want to see if I'm getting this right. Yes.
Yes.
Dross. Waste.
Dross. Is it D-R?
O-S-S.
S-S.
Yeah.
Dross.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard this before.
Okay. Yeah. Worthless rubbish.
Worthless rubbish.
Yeah. So I was right. All right.
That's good. That's good.
The eternal dross that is my newsfeed.
Yeah.
Of negativity and everything. I came across this account that only publishes like positive things that are happening in the world.
Oh, that's good.
Which was great.
Yeah.
And I was looking through some of them and I wanted to share some of them because
yeah, please.
I thought that it was kind of refreshing.
Is any of this going to timestamp our episode or is it like eternally good stuff?
I don't think it. Well, actually, maybe. Yeah. But some of them are dated. First one I thought was pretty interesting. Italy is eliminating the killing of male chickens because if you think about like a cookery, right? Basically, you only have female chickens that lay eggs, and then you have some male chickens, but the majority of male chickens are killed. So by 2027, Italy is going to stop the killing of male chickens. Do you know how many chickens are executed a year just in Italy?
Okay, but no. Tell me.
40 million.
So 40 million male. How many female chickens are executed?
Well, the female chickens are usually kept alive to lay eggs. And then once the female chickens are done with laying eggs, then they are.
So is Italy going to eat less chicken?
No, Italy is still going to eat chickens. But the killing of male chickens at birth.
Oh, at birth?
At birth.
Wait, I don't understand. They were killing male chickens at birth?
Like every country
does. Did you
does
say this to start this conversation? Or did I just like...
There's more good news.
No. What are you saying? Wait, why are we
40 million chickens a year, male chickens are executed because they don't keep male chickens around.
Okay, so they don't keep them around because they don't have any purpose except for...
Correct.
But
because one male chicken will fertilize many, many, many eggs. So you don't need the same amount of male chickens as female chickens.
But wait, so don't you then, like, couldn't you just keep male chickens somewhere else and let them grow into, like, chicken?
Well, that's what they're going to be doing. But we do this now in our country.
We already let the chickens
No. We kill all the male chickens.
We kill all the male chickens.
Yes. So basically, male chickens are useless in egg production.
Yeah, of course.
So basically, when hens lay eggs, we don't want them to get fertilized. So the male chickens are just killed off, basically. And essentially, basically what they're doing is they're going to stop doing that.
Okay.
So that's one piece of good news. Is 40 million male chickens will now be saved.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, are there other countries that
There's 5.
There's 5?
No. Italy's the only one that's doing this.
Okay.
So far.
Via 5 good things.
Are you familiar with the Ocean Cleanup Project?
Yes. I had a bracelet. I had the Ocean Cleanup bracelet.
I donate to them a lot too.
Okay.
I love them. I think it's phenomenal for anybody that doesn't know about the Ocean Cleanup Project.
There's a Timex watch that you can get that's Ocean Cleanup.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. $80.
They have eliminated 11 million kilograms of waste.
How much is that?
That is a lot. That is many, many, many stadiums full of trash.
Okay.
Yeah, which is pretty remarkable. So that's just where they're at right now. And they're still in the very early stages of starting to clean up the ocean.
Where does the trash go when it's eliminated from the
ocean?
To
a recycling center.
So the recycling?
Yeah.
That's what they upcycle. Like that's what they do with the glass beads and everything like that.
Yeah. And then they turn it into like watches. They turn it into sunglasses. They turn it into bracelets. So they have all that kind of other stuff.
Okay.
Another one, Australia is on track to be the first country in the world to eliminate cervical cancer.
Okay. How are they
Which
doing
I actually
that?
verified this with ChatGPT and it's true.
Well, if ChatGPT says so.
Yeah, but I looked it up in a few different sources, because I didn't believe it. I was like, how is it that they're the only country?
Yeah, like how are they doing that?
I don't know. But long story short, they have continuously declining rates. So by basically 2035, it's estimated that cervical cancer will be completely, almost entirely phased out of the country.
Well, anything can be brought back. Measles.
True. Yeah, I guess that's true too.
Just
yeah.
I'm just trying to counter all of your good.
last one I'm going to throw out is that Kenya has started using thermal imaging cameras to track poachers.
Oh, I like that.
And because of that, rhino poaching has almost been eliminated in Kenya.
So
It's
wow.
still there,
Yeah.
but the thermal imaging cameras at night, because there's no real cover in
Yeah.
Kenya, will basically see all the poachers, and yeah, it's gone down absolutely.
Are they
huge amount.
are they mounting these cameras on trees, or is it satellite imagery? Like how are they doing this? Drones?
I think it's a combination.
Drones, maybe.
Yeah, it's a combination of a bunch of things.
So do you think it's the Kenyan government that's decided to do this, or do you think it's like
It
the
is.
philanthropical?
It is the Kenyan government, but there are a bunch of nonprofits that are helping with this as well.
That's cool.
So
all right, those are good news.
Good news.
Pieces. You just did they like info dump like 5 things at a time?
Exactly.
On this?
Yeah.
And
so
then,
there's
like,
5 positive things.
So like today there'll be 5 more positive things.
Exactly.
I like that. Welcome to the Compound Growth Podcast with Colin and Wheeler, where we talk all things growth, from financial growth to career growth, personal development to societal progress. We explore how each layer builds on the next, compounding over time to shape who we become. Each week, we break down complex ideas and emerging trends into clear, actionable insights. Because growth isn't just about numbers, it's about understanding the world and our place in it. The information in this material is for general information only, and is not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Investment advice offered through Integrated Partners, doing business as Ko-Fi Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor. Integrated Partners does not provide legal, tax, mortgage, advice, or services. Please consult your legal tax advisor regarding your specific situation. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. The economic forecasts set forth in this material may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that the strategies promoted will be successful. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the American dream, because nobody feels like they're living that dream. Fewer and fewer people are feeling that way. We're going to talk about what is being done to try to address that problem, whether it is enough, whether it's going to be helpful enough, whether it's soon enough, just whether it's enough in general. We're going to be talking about how some people who listen to these podcasts may benefit from this, or their kids or their grandkids, etc. We're going to talk about why it's happening.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing to understand here, essentially, we've got the growing frustration with the American dream. Rising costs of housing, inflation, all this stuff. We've got this kind of like fracturing of, we've called it the K-shaped economy before, but there's a haves and have-nots, and it's further dividing. And while we are finally at a point where just over, like, we can call it the majority of Americans, but just over 50% of Americans now have access to the stock market, it's not exactly like a unifying theme, right? Like you or I might have more access to the stock market than our neighbors. And, our clients might have more access to the stock market than we do, right?
Yeah.
So just because we have more than 50% of Americans in the market, that doesn't mean that their participation is equal.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, there's 2 things going on. There's an affordability crisis. We've talked about at length before, costs of things are rising, and unfortunately, wage inflation isn't keeping up with those things. Then on top of that, there's also what you could probably call a savings crisis as well, where not everybody has access to retirement accounts. I think it's actually like, I can't remember the exact stat, but I think it was like around 30 to 40% of people in the US still don't have access to like an employer retirement plan, as a perfect example.
Right.
So with that being said, in regards to savings, some interesting stats that I pulled up was the amount of savings that people have at different ages, just a median amount, which kind of exemplifies some of the problem. So under the age of 35, the average median retirement savings is $18,000.
Yeah.
5 to 44, median savings, 45,000.
Okay. And that's all inclusive savings.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. 55 to 64, which is kind of the most important band, because you're approaching retirement at that point.
Yeah,
you're really
trying to figure out
to it.
Yeah.
Is $185,000. And the jump from 65 to 74 is only 15 grand. It's $200,000 in savings.
Yeah.
From 65 to 74. Which goes to show how many people rely solely on Social Security.
Yeah. Well, obviously, right?
Yeah.
That's why. So we've always talked about like when our clients are like, hey, should I worry about whether I'm going to have Social Security? Is, we all hear the headlines like it's running out.
Yep.
And we don't have a way to fund it.
Which they've been talking about since the late 80s.
It's honestly, it's never going to go away because like it's a big bill to pay and nobody wants to pay it. But somebody has to because so many people rely on it. But we have, so to your point, like there's a lot of have-nots. There's a lot of people who they haven't saved as much as you want them to have saved. And we are everybody's on full display right now, right? Everybody who has something is displaying that they have it. There's no like millionaire next door, or there are, but there's fewer of them. Everybody's millionaire on your screen that you're getting your feed from.
Millionaire next door is in a mansion with a Lambo in the driveway.
What was it? It wasn't the Dross. What was it?
The Dross.
The Dross.
Yeah,
the Dross is full of Lambos and driveways,
right?
And or whatever, some like glamorous trip, and we're trying to solve that problem. When we've seen this type of unrest in the past, we've illustrated a solution for the future, and in that illustration, it was, here's what the American dream looks like in terms of tangible assets. Here's a house. Here's a white picket fence. Here's the sidewalks with the tree-lined street. Here's suburbia. And we gave that to the people. We made it easier for people to buy houses. And that helped them feel like they were in a good place. It was making America great again in the 1950s. And now we're saying, okay, well, that dream is stock ownership, right? Instead of like a house, you can't afford that. That's no chance. So now it's just stocks. And this is something that we've actually been hearing for a while now. It was, I don't know how long ago it was, 4 years ago maybe, we were at Future Proof, the conference out in California, and we heard Brad Gerstner talk about the idea of the federal government funding accounts that are with S&P 500 index funds for every baby that's born. And you and I sat in the crowd and we talked about who's benefiting from that. Obviously, more money comes into the market, makes the people who own the market wealthier. But at the same time, you want to get people started early.
And there's less pressure on the Social Security system at that point, too.
Yeah.
So that is an advantage, too. Yep. So with that being said, something that the government has done as of last year is instilled the Trump account.
So let's talk about how this happened. So we had the
One Big Beautiful Bill.
Yeah. OBBB. Like all these modern omnibus bills, they just get packed full of stuff.
Yep.
And this is one thing that had it didn't matter which side of the aisle you fell on. People on both sides were supportive of this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the whole idea of this is to get people benefiting from compound interest early and trying to help solve some of the either affordability crisis or I'll say retirement savings crisis, however you want to frame it. And the way that the account is set up is basically a child or anyone under the age of 18 can access one of these. And from 2025 to 2028, the government will seed $1,000 into the account upfront per child or per, young adult, depending on your age.
If you're born in 2025, 26, 27, 28, then you will receive a $1,000 contribution to an account for your benefit.
Yeah, for sure. And basically the way that the funding of it can work is that a parent or anyone can contribute $5,000 a year into this account, and your investment selections are basically low-cost index funds that you can select that have general broad-based market exposure that will then be invested for that child, and that child will either be able to access it at 18. If they take withdrawals from it, it's income taxable, or they can leave it and continue to have it grow just like a retirement account. But you can't make contributions to it after 18.
So it's like a way to kind of jumpstart wealth, right?
Yes.
Or wealth accumulation.
Pretty much.
And it's a Trump account. That is the official name.
That is the name.
There's no other name for this account. No. So this is just kind of we politicize these things. We had Obamacare, and now we have Trump accounts.
Trump accounts.
And unfortunately, by politicizing, am I saying that word right? By making it political.
Politicizing.
Was I saying that right?
I think you were saying it right.
I feel like by politicizing the accounts,
Yeah.
we have people who are already being like, whoa,
Against it.
right?
I know.
But let's just think about these things as like healthcare being available for people is good. It doesn't matter what president was there when it was put into place. And these accounts being, set up by the government for children, and then kind of changing the way that we can contribute to them, because you're right, like parents can contribute to them with up to that $5,000 a year, but also employers, right, can contribute.
Could do $2,500.
Yeah. So it could become a good new workplace benefit. And we're helping. What's interesting is that 2025 coincides with Gen Beta, right?
Gosh,
so it's the next generation, Colin. Gen Alpha, my daughter's generation, will not receive these.
Yeah.
Gen Beta will, which is good because nobody wants to be a beta. And
no, that's not like a great name.
But it is what it is. And it's changing kind of like the future, right? Like Gen Beta will theoretically have a head start. Like if you just give $1,000 to a kid and they let it compound growth for 18 years, you could do the math much faster than I could, but I don't think that's life changing. Whatever the amount of money it isn't. So what it has to be is a cultural shift, because we've had accounts available to help kids. You're doing the math right now.
I am. It's $4,000.
Not life
Not a
changing.
game changer.
That not helping.
That won't even buy you a first car.
We've had accounts for kids for a while. There's been savings accounts. There's been 529s. Yeah. So what I think this might, though, signal is a new relationship with the stock market. It might be that like people are buying into the idea. They're not just buying into the market. They're buying into the compound growth. And then like maybe it increases education and awareness.
Well, I think it should also increase awareness and education with the adults too.
Yeah.
Because kids learn the habits from the adults. So if the adults can get behind and the parents can get behind these types of accounts and start to contribute to them at an early age, time in the market is more important than timing the market is basically the whole point with this. And I just ran a quick exercise last night while I was in bed, and I was thinking about this. And I thought to myself, okay, well, let's just say you have a child that started off with $1,000 in this account. I'm just going to say the stock market performance is, I know over the last 20 years, it was 13.5%. Let's just say it's 10. Do you want to go with? Okay, so we'll go with 10. And let's just say you have a parent that contributes $1,000 a year. So not even the full amount, but $1,000 a year. And they do that from age 1, or basically from when the child is born. And then once they reach 18, then the child takes it back over. And then they contribute $1,000 a year.
Okay.
So basically $1,000 a year. And let's say they keep that going until age 62. So they want to retire early. So if we were to do that, start off with $1,000, you have 10% growth for 62 years. Do you know how much money that is?
No.
4.41 million.
Wow.
Now, if you were to do the traditional savings route, so let's just say no savings for the child, they go to college, then they graduate from college, they get their first job, then they start contributing to a 401k, usually kind of in your mid to late 20s, I will say is pretty standard procedure.
Yeah.
So at 28 years old, you start contributing to a 401k. So now you have 34 years of contributions. So 34 years of contributions, I'm assuming you're starting off with nothing. Let's just say you make $75,000 a year. So you're going to contribute 10% of your paycheck. So that's $7,500 a year. If you were to do that, the traditional route, where you're getting 10% rate of return for 34 years and you're contributing 10% of your paycheck, so $7,500 annually, that is $2 million.
So half, basically.
Less than half. And you're contributing way more of your paycheck.
Way more. See, that's the thing, is that like, if you think about, let's just try to use even numbers and say that it's 60 years, right? You have 60 years from 0 to 60 where like you could save, and then you retire early at age 60. Early. And you look at it and say, well, most people don't start saving for the first third. And honestly, the majority of people don't start or aren't in a position to save until the second half of that.
Yeah, most people actually don't kick in their retirement savings until they're in their 30s.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Jess did.
Yeah.
Jess was making a little bit more money than me when we were in our mid to late 20s, but also she had a K plan that she could access. And she smartly sat down with a financial advisor.
Good for her.
Yeah. Who helped her, think things through and figure out how much to contribute, et cetera. And she got things going. That's not always the case. And this is why, when we started our business, I was looking for opportunities to like fund a Roth IRA for my daughter. I'm like, hey, let's get things going. Let's kickstart this so she doesn't have to save as much later on and she can spend that money on traveling or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I think what I really like about these accounts in general, actually, there's a few things. One, we didn't really touch on. I mentioned that the withdrawals from this are income taxable, but the way that these accounts are treated is that they're tax deferred as well. They're very much like an IRA where basically you put money in, you do not get a tax deduction, but let's just say you put $10,000 in there, it grows to $100,000. You do not pay any capital gains tax, any interest, like nothing like that until you make a withdrawal later on in life.
Yeah.
So that's really great that it's tax deferred. So that's a huge advantage because it lets your money grow and compound more. If you pay taxes along the way, that reduces the value of your account. You're getting less compounding. So that's fantastic. But I think the other thing I really like about these accounts is the fact that you're going to get more years of compounding growth. And from what we just saw in that exercise, that extra 24 years of compounding growth means that later on in life, you have way less expenses and savings that you have to worry about because you're just going to let your money take care of itself. Now, how many people will leave the account invested until they're 62? I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you can and just continuously make some contributions to it over time, the investments within them seem pretty attractive. They're very low cost index funds that have broad based exposure, which for most people are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great tool.
I think it's a lot of different things. And yeah, it's one of those things is it's a great tool. It's also a way to buy in to like our country, right? It's essentially like, hey, this is, we are a consumer society. We are, for better or for worse, like, the capitalism globally.
I mean, it's basically what America was built on. We've talked about this before, was capitalism.
Yeah. So you're buying into capitalism. I think that's part of this as well. Josh Brown was talking about this in one of their many podcasts. And I was listening to him kind of riff on how he thinks of this as very similar to how we beat back communism in the 50s.
Trump accounts or just like, okay, got it.
The Trump accounts, basically because we had these GI bills and the homeowner afforded shit, like we made it easier for people to get an education and get a house. And by doing that, we pushed back on a growing trend towards communism that was happening in the 50s. And you might remember there was Marxism, there was the stuff with the screenwriters getting blacklisted and stuff. Like it was a big public to do. And a lot of young people, they actually talked about this a little bit in Oppenheimer.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of the youth in the counterculture were trending a little bit more towards communism.
Okay.
Right. And that's funny because we just won a war.
Correct. That was one of the main points.
But it actually had started before the war. By giving people the American dream, by basically saying, here's what the American dream is, we can make this happen for you. It's really hard to be a communist if you own a piece of the dream. And that's kind of what Josh was painting. He was basically like, look, this is what I think happened. And I think that's why we're excited about doing this again. We're changing what the dream looks like. I don't know if that's like, that might be why this is happening. It might be a piece of why this is happening, but it's hard for me to see the downside to this. Like, I'm not seeing how this becomes a bad thing that we help people, because now you're starting to see the philanthropic, impact of this. You're starting to see Michael Dell and his wife come out and give, I think it was like $6 billion. It
was a huge amount of money.
Right? To fund, to match these contributions from the federal government. Ray Dalio is doing it. You're starting to see some corporations do it. I think BNY is doing
Charities can donate to this.
Yeah. Schwab is doing it. Like, charities, profits, companies, like there's all these different avenues that can be just like more than an individual approach.
It's basically the way that, you're framing it. And I agree with this too. That's really great is it's almost like you can directly help kids.
Yeah.
And kind of everyone at that point. Now, does that mean that with all of these donations and all these companies contributing whatever it might be, that the $1,000 seed money is going to continue after 2028. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would be great if that was kind of the standard. If you got people investing in the market or the American dream, whatever you want to call it, from a very young age. And then not only that, but instilled the values in the parents to then teach the benefits of the compounding growth and just how much of a difference it can make, just even with the small contribution
Yeah.
of less than $100 a month to these accounts is a game changer for
Yeah.
your kids.
I remember my first understanding of like, it wasn't compound growth, but it was kind of like the time value of money. And it was the idea that something could be worth this and then 10 years later worth this. And it was just savings bonds. I received for my birthday like $100 a year from my grandfather. And if I cashed it in, it was worth $66. But if I waited until college, it'd be worth 100. And some of them got to be 107, 108. And some of them I cashed in early in their 90s. But it was a way it was deferred growth, right? It was deferred gratification. Thank you. Yep. And it was like a lesson being taught by an older generation. Like it was being handed down 2 generations. And, my parents were obviously aware of it and appreciated it. So, but it was like, it was a way of communicating and talking about money in like, a societally approved manner that I think happened more. And then we kind of eliminated some of these reasons to talk about money. And now we are maybe getting them back. And it helps, to your point, educate everybody.
What I hope these accounts do is eliminate friction.
Right.
Okay. Because I think if I was a parent and only contributing to a 401k, I probably wouldn't know much about UTMAs. I wouldn't know much about 529s. I wouldn't know much about getting a Roth IRA going for kids and maybe ways in which that you can do that. What this does is it makes saving for the child very accessible, which is great. And in fact, you're incentivized to get it going with that $1,000 of seed capital, which to me, I think is amazing because like we talked about, the sooner that you can get going with this, the more money you're going to have long term.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should also point out that it's not available yet. Like you can't just listen to this episode and say, well, my child was born in 2025, so I'm going to go get that account.
Yep.
We have to wait, I think it's June or July.
Yes.
Until so this is still theoretical. Yeah. Things could change, but I'm pretty sure it will happen.
Yeah. It's been approved.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then we're waiting for the helicopter money from the government to get into the accounts. And I think what I'm saying right now to clients is, yes, this is a good thing. We're not going to rush out and like plan on it. We're going to wait for it to happen, just like we waited for the baby to come. And then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, all in all, the fact that these accounts are now available, hopefully every young parent or anyone with a child under the age of 18 is aware of it. They recognize the benefits of it, and they recognize the benefits, or can at least do some research into the benefits of the compounding growth by getting them going sooner. And I think getting the children involved at a younger age to understand the way the market and compounding growth and savings works is just hopefully a big game changer for everybody.
Is it enough?
I don't know if it's, okay. So this is a deeper question. I think if you were to instill the habits of consistent savings into the account in the market for long-term growth, I think a $4.4 million ending of account balance seems like enough, but we have to factor in inflation and everything like that. But I think with this, it's a good piece of the puzzle, but there has to be education involved in it as well.
Yeah, I think it's setting up the opportunity. I wonder about, though, waiting for Generation Beta to turn 18 for us to see like the benefit from this. It's 2 decades from now that you're going to see that wealth inequality hopefully have contracted a little bit. There's a lot that's going to happen between now and then.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's a good first step. This is kind of a tangent, but I'm going to go down it anyway.
I love how you preference your tangents.
Yes. I think about my grandparents.
Everybody get ready.
And how many inappropriate jokes and things that they would say. That you couldn't repeat to a Generation Beta in this day and age, or post on social media and it would be deemed appropriate. And the thing is while that was acceptable in that generation, it is now unacceptable in younger generations, which for good reason. I'm supportive of that. But it does take time for those things to phase out in the same way that it takes time for new habits to come in and take hold. And hopefully this is the start of a good new habit.
You're right. I mean, I think we don't have to wait 2 decades for these accounts to like be accessible to kids for the impact of spreading financial education and awareness.
Totally.
Like, that's very true. I don't think it helps some of like the near term problems that need to be addressed. Like, you know, home ownership right now, you were talking about like the different savings rates for the different ages. You know, now it's like your first time home buyers are in your late 30s or early 40s. This isn't solving for them. This isn't even necessarily solving for their, like, I guess that's kind of the right age range where maybe they're starting to have kids or like maybe their kids are young. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see. I think that this is a nice idea. I think it's also, it's like a low overhead approach, right? Like it doesn't take that much to get this going.
Yeah, it's a low overhead approach. But on top of that, like to your point, it's not going to fix the problems immediately, but hopefully it will prevent them from getting worse in the future.
Yeah.
That's would be my hope for this. Like, does it make housing prices go down? No. Does it make the cost of a new car less expensive? No. Does it make groceries more affordable? No.
Right.
But hopefully it sets up future generations to know the values and take care of money and benefit from some of the things we're doing now.
I think you need to create that feeling of being taken care of, right? Like, I think when people feel like their country has their back and they get excited about being members of this country, like more reasons like this. Like, I think this is, even if this account doesn't do it, or this like initiative to fund these accounts doesn't do it, if it can have kind of like that ripple effect on other areas, like healthcare, for like if you could solve healthcare in this country, like you could get 5 terms as president. I feel like.
For sure. I know 100%. And I guess that's just a good point. Like the way that I think about it is I want to leave this world and kids and people better than how it started off. Not to say it's bad, but all I'm saying is like, you always want to make improvements. Like you don't want to like destroy something and then leave it behind.
Right.
You know, you want to set it up for future success too. And Ray Dalio talks about this a lot. What's the eternal portfolio that will always work? And, you know, I'm not really sure there's a correct answer to this, but he always talks about setting up future generations for success. So that way they can not have as steep of a learning curve.
Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic. And if these accounts are a good stepping stone for it, or at least a step in the right direction, that's good enough for me for now.
Yeah. 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 I think that's perfect. Let's leave it there and let's keep people updated as like we learn more about these accounts.
For sure.
Where they're going to be and how to fund them and all these fun things that, you know, this information's out there, but it's always changing.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. So yeah, we'll do that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for coming back.
Yep. And we'll keep you guys updated.
All right.
Thanks.
Compound Growth with Wheeler and Colin. Sponsored by Ko-Fi Advisors. Reach out today. Yay!